something that the Saints hadn't had in their offense in a very long time, and that's a vertical threat.
Yep.
He can throw the ball over your head. Skip.
So would you say Jameis has a better arm than Drew Brees ever thought about having?
Yes,
okay,
yes. But Skip, people don't understand. Jameis was the #1 overall pick for a reason.
Yep.
He was Rookie of the Year. The guy threw for 5,200 yards. His problem is turnovers. Can they cut down the turnovers? The question was never about whether he could throw the football. We know he can throw the football.
Yep.
Sean Payton's going to have to reel in some of that. Look, bruh, every play doesn't have to be a home run. You don't have to squeeze every ball into a tight window. Sometimes you got to just, hey, take that check down. And that's what Drew was so good at. Drew minimized the risk. And so I think the thing is with Sean is going to have to understand that he had 15 years with Drew. Skip, they know each other backwards and forwards. That was another coach on the field. Yep. They tailored the offense to what Drew did really well. A lot of the short, intermediate throws, guys making plays for him. Now, once they get Michael Thomas back, because Callaway made some big-time catches last night, Skip, because that could easily pass interference, get the ball to the 1 yard line, they run it in. He doesn't get the completion. But that kid made 2 outstanding catches. Get Michael Thomas back in the fold, Skip, they might be on to something. But he's not gonna be Drew Brees. But what he will give you is the ability to throw the ball over their heads, which Drew lacked last year. And if you look at Tampa, like they squatted on everything. They played cover 2, and they say you're not basically 22 man because Drew, you're not gonna run the football, and we're going to force you to put the ball in tight windows because we don't believe your arm. We can tell early on. We know this is not the same Drew Brees that we faced 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Remember, he had like 12 cracked ribs at one point last year.
What was that, Skip? When they beat him that Sunday night game when Drew? I mean, they just went up and down the field. Tampa could tell early on, you're not that guy, so we're not going anywhere. But I like this. I believe Jameis Winston won the job last night. I think they can find a role. Taysom Hill will serve his role like he did with Drew Brees. I never thought, Skip, that he was going to be an every down quarterback. But I like what I saw with Jameis. He's not going to be Drew Brees. The offense is going to look totally different. But I believe he can be more than a serviceable quarterback. He's the #1 overall draft pick for a reason.
He was. Okay, point number 1. I concur that to my eyes last night, Jameis just ran away with the job with just basically those 2 throws.
Right.
They were spectacular bombs away kind of throws that Bruce Arians would love. Because that's no risk it, no biscuit, right? And that's risk it, biscuit on both of them. We know he can do that. I knew he could do that going in. And the only reason I hesitate to just proclaim him the starter and hand him the job that he earned last night or won last night is that for some reason Sean Payton has it in his heart and in the back of his mind that he snatched Taysom Hill off the waiver wire after he got cut by Green Bay, and he said, watch this. And Sean Payton is the ultimate watch this guy in the NFL. Belichick's close.
Most coaches are like that.
Most are, but Sean Payton's like, watch what I do. I've got some genius here, and I'm going to flash it for you. I'm going to take that kid off that scrap heap, and I'm going to show you he can, and he said this before, he can be a playoff quarterback, he says of Taysom Hill. What happened last year? Jameis was there, and Drew got hurt, and there were 4 games that needed another starter, and who was it?
He put Taysom Hill in there.
Taysom Hill in for 4 games.
And how did he look?
Well,
he looked so good. He looked so good they rushed Drew Brees back when he wasn't healthy, and then how did Drew look?
That is correct. But Taysom did win 3 of those 4 games, albeit at Philadelphia against a really bad Eagles team with Jalen Hurts starting. I believe that was his first game.
No, they lost to New Orleans. They lost to Philly.
No, Philly beat them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay, so they lost that game, but that was actually his best game. He's like 28 of 38. Whatever, I got it here somewhere. But the point was, he kept going, and then he got to beat Atlanta twice, and he got to beat your Broncos in Denver.
And they looked terrible beating the Broncos.
He did, because they mostly just ran the ball.
Correct.
Okay, so the point was, he did start Taysom over Jameis last year. To me, Jameis, this is like a godsend for Sean Payton because he's 6 feet 4 inches tall. He can move around pretty well. Sometimes he's a little awkward looking with his passes and runs, but he is athletic. He was a good baseball player, and he has a huge arm. It's big enough to be on the big arm list.
Skip, you know he reminds you of? He reminds you of Tom Brady's offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. The way he moves.
Yep.
Now I believe his arm is a little better than Byron, but the way the way he moves, Skip, he's 6'4", but he's not fluid. He's not.
No, he's not fluid, but he can move.
Yeah.
And all I know is that under Arians in that one pre-Brady year, he threw 33 touchdown passes only because Lamar went completely MVP crazy and threw 36. Jameis was second with 33.
But he threw for 5,200 yards.
Yeah, 5,200 yards. But he threw 30 picks. 30 picks, and he lost 5 fumbles. That's 35 turnovers. That's why your team went 7-9.
Right.
The yards say you're at least 9-7, but it was 7-9 because you kept giving the football away.
Because think about that, Skip. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, instead of 37 turnovers, he has 18.
Yep.
They're a playoff team. Because they didn't add anybody other than Tom Brady. Everybody that's on that team came back from the previous year. Ndamukong Suh, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. They added Gronk. But that was a playoff team if he doesn't turn the ball over. And all Tom Brady did was come in there and like, you know what? He threw more touchdowns, but he didn't even come close to the turnovers. And that was the difference. That's the difference in winning and losing in this league, Skip. There's a very tiny margin.
Tiny.
Because everybody's talented. Everybody got good, outstanding coaches. You turn the ball over in the NFL, you get beat.
Okay. I'm surprised that Sean Payton hasn't embraced the opportunity to turn Jameis Winston into a Pro Bowl quarterback. He has Pro Bowl ability.
He's gone to the Pro Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, but to make him a perennial Pro Bowl, where you could be a perennial playoff team, he's not going to be able to put up the. Listen, Drew Brees is he's just special. You can't compete with that. But is he strong enough mentally to at least step into the void and survive and thrive? Yes, he is.
I believe he is too.
Especially if Sean Payton buys completely in, because I'm not sure there's a better play caller than Sean Payton. I'm not sure there's a better quarterback maker than Sean Payton. So wouldn't it be a match made in heaven where you have a guy who just needs to get cleaned up? You know, like if you can just take the garbage out of his system, you know, if you can take away all the bad ideas, if you can just start to clean those up and cut them in half, then you've got big talent, right? I'm looking at the numbers he put up in the years in Tampa, and he threw 121 touchdown passes to 88 interceptions. Well, that's still pretty great. It's hard to find that. It's hard to find that kind of an arm, that ability to throw that many touchdown passes. So the point is, I'm surprised Sean just hasn't embraced, like, hey, I've got a guy here. I've got a guy who's big talent.
But you said, your opening salvo is that I got a guy nobody else wanted. And look because see, what did I say? I say Jameis Winston was the #1 overall pick. He was rookie of the year, threw for 5,200 yards. So he already got that. I got a guy that got cut several times. Everybody said, you can't play that position. Look what I did with it.
Okay, you can still do some of that with him, as you pointed out, because Jameis has no cachet right now. Jameis is going to be happy to have the starting job. Like he said after the game last night, it's been so long since I started a football game. Really? It's been that long? Yeah, it has. Okay, so he can't demand or command anything. So if you bring back in your Taysom Hill packages that I couldn't believe Drew Brees would sit still for, but he did. Where occasionally you split out, Jameis is a wideout, and Taysom pops into the huddle, and all of a sudden he's the quarterback. Or maybe he's the tight end, or maybe he's the running back, or who knows. You can do so many things with him because he runs 4-4. Like he can really run. And he can run over people. And he can catch the football. That was Tebow's problem, was Tebow's never caught a pass in his life, but this kid can catch passes.
Absolutely.
So you want to talk about Swiss Army knife that can just cut you to pieces? Well, why wouldn't you just reinstall him and then put him back in that package? Because we saw 4 games, and I think your eye test, even after that Philly loss, he played pretty well in that loss. He throws it okay, but he doesn't throw it as well as Jameis does.
He does not.
And he doesn't throw it well enough to be